Why, hello! Welcome to another episode of the Star Wars Minute. It's your daily show in which we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate The Last Jedi, one swinging minute at a time. I'm Alex Robinson from alexrobinson.fun.
I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Chrysanthe Tan from ChrysantheTan.com.
Welcome back, Chrysanthe.
I have to ask you a question. Is it intentional when you say Star Wars Minute and the Star Wars Minute?
Huh.
No.
Because I used to think you said Star Wars Minute, and then this season I've heard you say the Star Wars Minute most of the time. That's been unintentional?
Was not intentional on my part.
Yeah, it's been pretty haphazard. Although we do, maybe that's a subliminal marketing
I thought you were
ploy
doing it on purpose to direct people to the correct handle.
to our Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
But not our Twitter or our .com or anything. I think we have
I was like, I wonder if they try to do 4 days of the Star Wars Minute and 1 day of not. I was trying to figure it out.
I did not think anyone was paying that much close attention to the show. It's going to make me self-conscious now.
I can't help. Well, I wasn't trying to pay attention, but it just stuck out to me so much. Another question. I'm sorry, Alex. I went to alexrobinson.fun.
Yeah.
And your contact page says for new commissions, please contact email at example.com.
Yeah, I know. I
555.
keep forgetting to change that.
Okay.
Were you wondering why commissions weren't rolling in?
Yeah.
No, it's because I don't want anyone to commission anything. So
Right.
sends them to a Czechoslovakian spam
I was just
site.
wondering if that was intentional too. But.
Let's talk about minute 59 of The Last Jedi. What do you guys say? We're talking about, it starts off with Rey working out, noticing the lightsaber in her bag. And it ends a minute later with the caretakers noticing a rock smashing their cart to bits.
Well, yeah, she's not only noticing the lightsaber, but this is an important kind of switch. This is, and it's neat that it's basically, pretty close to halfway through the sequel saga. Rey shifts gears and kind of becomes not that she's becoming a Jedi yet. She's not a Jedi yet, but she kind of chooses to opt out of her old way of the staff and pick up the lightsaber and kind of commit to this new lifestyle, essentially. And it's it's you can take the Skywalker, not the Skywalker saga, but you could take the sequel trilogy, the Disney trilogy, the increasingly inaccurately named sequel or Disney trilogy, and you could, you cut it in half, and the first part is, Rey is the girl with the staff, and then the second part is Rey with Rey's lightsaber, as it is officially known for marketing purposes.
I'm actually a little bit confused. Or why do you think Luke pays special attention to her now?
Well,
is it just because she switches from using her staff to her lightsaber? Like, what is it about this sequence, this training part that interests him? Because isn't using a lightsaber or a staff, that's sort of like a swordsmanship thing, like anyone could do that on their own? It doesn't strike me as a super forcey thing, is it?
Well, we've seen the non-trained, let's say the Han Solos and FN 2187s of the world, who are not as in touch with the Force as somebody like Rey, who we know is nearly bursting with raw Force power, raw Force kind of connection. Their experiences with the lightsaber are far more clumsy. And so Luke, the last time we saw Luke, I forgot, I had to flip back to last week's notes and see that, Luke, he had done the lesson 1, and Rey had, seen the seaweed hole, and Luke was just like, no, I'm not training you. You went straight to the dark side. That's ridiculous. And walked away. And so here Rey is on her own again. So she's just doing her own training. And when she switches from the staff to the lightsaber, and she kind of finds the groove, and I think Luke can, even though he's not in touch with the Force, I think he can see that she is and sense that she is communicating with the Force in these exercises in a way that he was perhaps not expecting. It kind of it reignites his, okay, I should train her. Let me give her another lesson. Whereas he was scared and backed off the last time, he was like, all right, she is really good and could be a force of good. And she could be the, he said, like, what did you think? I'm going to show up, with a laser sword and face down the whole First Order. And I was like, oh, well, she's pretty good with a laser sword. Maybe she could be the one who helps. And so I think there's a lot going on here, and it's awesome. I had forgotten, especially when you watch it minute by minute, you forget, stuff that happened last week for us. But when you're watching the movie, it only happened, literally like 4 minutes ago or something like that. But Luke doesn't just notice; he's notices and then is like, all right, like walks up to the temple, which is Rey's sign to. It doesn't really happen until tomorrow, so we could talk about it tomorrow some more. But Luke is not only kind of noticing here; it's swaying him in a sense.
Okay.
That was more about what and not a why. You were asking more
I guess
why, and I'm like,
we don't really know why. I guess there's different interpretations.
There is no
see
why.
that. I also wonder if Luke sees her practicing and is sort of like, okay, whether I help her or not, it's clear that she's gonna do this.
Right.
So she's clearly into this. So fine.
Well, and also, the lesson he's about to give her is not a encouraging one. So maybe him seeing her do this is like, oh, I gotta stop her from doing this. Not so much, oh, she's gonna do it anyway, as in like I gotta stop her from doing this because it's
next lesson. Jedi are dumb.
Yeah, he feels like he needs to bring her a little bit down from the pedestal, like she has so much raw power. So he's like, let me just make sure she knows it's not just about swinging a lightsaber really good.
He probably also just doesn't want her to keep trashing the place because here we are in this sacred island and she's
oh, I liked that rock.
It kind of reminds me of like when I compare Force using and Jedi-ism to like violin playing, or like being a trained musician, and it does remind me of like when someone is really talented and maybe goes to their teacher. Like I would go to my teacher without having learned much and just be like, "Hey, this is my second lesson. I've learned this song," and it would kind of leave my teacher like, "Oh, there's like not much I taught you leading up to that, and like you're doing that. You shouldn't be able to do that yet, but you also like don't know step 1 and 2, and so there's like all these other things that are like kind of not wrong, but like rugged and in your technique and everything. So maybe this is sort of like that too, where it's like, okay, clearly you think you can already do level 10, but trust me, it'll be a lot better for everyone if you learn these few basics before you start like just hacking your way to the top.
Right.
Yeah. Or hacking your way from the top in Rey's point of view. Well, it's not quite the top.
Yeah.
Hacking your way through the middle.
Or in the middle of the trilogy, like you said.
Exactly.
I like that she's using it in the bright outdoors because trying to think of, usually we see lightsabers indoors or in dark environments, so the brightness really stands out, but the blade almost looks white because it's like she's out in the sun and everything, so you can't really quite tell that it looks
well,
that's
I don't know if I knew this originally, but I just more than once just recently read about the change to Luke's lightsaber in Return of the Jedi was mainly for that reason, that they're like, it started out, he just had when he built a new lightsaber and it was blue, and they're like, oh, we're outside in the desert and the sky is blue and it doesn't really stand out. Like, what if we changed it up a little bit and they made it green? And they're like, also then it'll be clear that he built a new lightsaber instead of like, how did he get his lightsaber back?
Interesting. So now we see that because the blue in the daylight looks very
Right.
white. So,
They should have, just to mess with everybody, they should have had her start with the blue lightsaber and then just like turn a little knob and it turns green or yellow or something like that. Everybody
Oh
would have
my
been like,
God.
ah,
people would have been freaking out
right.
if that had happened. It should be like
Um,
different settings. You could do like strobe or different.
Right.
One
like
weird thing.
party mode.
We do get a very close up when she goes to cut the. It's before she's cutting it. She's just like getting as close as possible to the rock, and you see the blade like right in your face. That must look good in 3D, but it looked weird seeing a lightsaber that close up, just because it was almost like it just raises questions of like where does the blade start as opposed to the glow around it. That kind
Do you
of
mean
thing.
when she's like to the
Yeah,
camera?
exactly.
Yeah. Like right.
Yeah.
Totally in your face.
It reminded me of seeing Chewbacca's fingers in The Force Awakens. Where I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to see it from that angle.
Well, that again, for this trilogy, they're using, essentially the replica lightsabers, things that have come around full circle. Now they're able to
Right.
use the the handheld battery operated lightsabers that have, a glowing rod at the end and have kind of a more defined, the glow
Point.
and everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the glow and everything is part of it. Whereas before, they kept kind of going through a different series of rods and tubes and ways to get it to be a glowing stick. That worked in various capacities and didn't work in various capacities. So, there's some, but this probably has the least kind of post-production add-on to the look of the lightsaber, this trilogy. And so interesting that they can get that close up and see like, oh, that's probably just what it looks like, essentially, what the lightsaber that they're using looks like almost.
We've been asking Chrysanthe, what do you think of Hermit Luke? Were you a fan of that storyline? Would you rather seen a more active, totally in your face Luke? What was your opinion?
I love Hermit Luke. I don't think I would have liked it any other way. I mean, that's a lie. I probably would have been like, oh yeah, I like that. But
yeah, based on what you
I
told
love
us,
her.
you would have
I
accepted
know.
it and been like, cool, which is one of the things that we love about you.
But I've so thoroughly accepted Hermit Luke. Also, Hermit Luke gets new music, and it's great. And it weaves in with Rey's music so nicely. It's almost as if it's saying Rey Skywalker.
We'll get there.
Yeah. I like Hermit Luke. I think he needed time to do this. Also, all of being a hermit is like not an unusual thing for a Jedi Master at all.
Very common.
So I don't see a reason not to do Hermit Luke. Also, he was so like happy-go-lucky to begin with. Like this was bound to happen at some point. He had so much hope and weight resting on him. I don't know, it just seems completely natural. Like Luke was never a character that I identified with. It doesn't mean I didn't like him. I liked him. He was, I actually don't relate to Rey either. I think they're relatable characters, and I think they're likable. I like them as characters. I mean, I love them both as characters, but
who do you?
I've never
relate
seen
to?
myself in Rey or Luke. They're too like, I don't know. I'm not like as good of a person as them, and like, or like, I don't feel the burden of being a hero, and I don't really feel the same sense of duty and the same. I'm not a hero, and
That's your uncle talking.
and it humanizes Luke more for me to see that, like, okay, yeah, he's not just a perfect like Instagram Jedi. That's what he is before this.
He's a Jedi
No, like
influencer.
just the perfect Jedi. Great.
It would be interesting to get a peek into the alternate universe in which Mark Hamill got the Luke he wanted, which was a heroic, very still positive Luke. And imagine
He is a heroic Luke.
Well, but I mean,
Well,
like,
but
not the way some people wanted him to be more like,
100% heroic.
yeah, I'm gonna,
all
like,
of the
get
show
up,
time.
up with
you
his
know.
laser sword and
Never
face down the
wavering.
First Order.
Yeah. But it's
Never a
interesting to
day,
imagine
no makeup.
telling, like, getting to peek into what they were like. Did you know that originally he was totally gonna be a hermit and didn't want to come, and like, you know, the movie was spent with Ray trying to convince him to join the thing. We'd be like, oh, that sounds cool, or we'd be like, boy, it's a good thing they didn't go with that one. So I guess it really depends on how the heroic Luke would have been executed. You know, not literally.
That's boring
but,
to me. And I say this as a fan of the expanded universe. Okay, I grew up with
Mm-hmm.
naming all of my things after the Jedi, you know, Han and Leia's kids, like my violin, Anakin, my bows, Jason and Jaina. I was into that. I was into the whole Jedi Academy thing. Loved those books. Best things. Jedi Search, love that book. I was into it. I was into that other Luke. And as an adult, I think this Luke makes more sense. And it's not to say that, I think Luke was that Luke before this. So that was just this Luke waiting to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Also, when he's trying to make Rey come to him and be convinced, I think a lot of that is performative, not in a negative way, but in a like, I only want to do this if I'm only going to be moved to do this. If someone is so serious that they're willing to really bring me out of my shell, I think it makes complete sense.
Right. It's not worth it for him to, well, not worth it, but it's not, if they're not into it, he's not going to be as into it.
And it's not just for him, it's for her too.
Right.
To make sure that she knows that she is really going to be the driver of this destiny. And I think Luke being standoffish about it gives Rey a chance to be the driver of her own fate and, you know, her own self-starter and everything. This isn't like Obi-Wan being like, hey, take this and do this and now do this.
Right.
This is Luke being like, not an overbearing teacher at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, honestly, I don't like teaching. So in the rare times that I have taught, I have liked to be that way too. I'll never tell a kid like practice. I just don't care about their journey as much as they do. And as it should be. Well, also this is why I'm not a teacher. So don't worry. I'm not ruining any like violin kids, but, it's much more powerful when the student is like, no, I'm going to do this. And I believe that I can learn something from you. And so I'm going to really apply myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also to make sure that she wouldn't do what he did essentially in kind of getting distracted and going off to, not that he wasn't, justified in getting distracted by the torture of his friends, but like, you know, it was like, all right, one of the things they all told me is I got to stay and finish my training. You're going to finish your training? Let's find out. Like, I'm going to say no. And are you going to hang out here and kind of, you know, keep going? Or are you going to get discouraged and leave?
Yeah. It gives him a chance to see how persistent she is and just what she is going to do on her own, what she's sort of made of and how long she's going to stick around following him. I think it's great that they had that observation period. And now look, he's watching her using the lightsaber.
This is getting off the track a little bit, but what if Luke had listened to Yoda and Obi-Wan and stayed on Dagobah and not gone to rescue his friends? Mm-hmm. He's like, you know what? I honor what they fight for. I'm going to let them do what they're doing. I'm guessing that like Leia and they would have just been taken in by the Empire as prisoners, I guess.
Well, no, he doesn't free them. Right? Lando intervenes and gets them.
No, but I'm saying if Luke hadn't come there, then Lando probably wouldn't have helped them escape. They probably would have. Vader probably would have just been like, "All right, they're coming with me, and we're going."
No, because Lando's interference has nothing to do with Luke arriving or not arriving. It's just based on the, the premise that he would be on his way, essentially. So if he's not, I mean, they still would have. I think everything would have gone down the same, except Luke would have had an arm. He would have had one more hand and would have been more prepared to face Vader, but then he might not have had that moment where he saw in Return of the Jedi, where he cuts off Vader's hand and sees his hand and Vader's hand.
Right.
That might have gone differently. He might have turned. Probably worked out for the best that he did that.
I think it would have turned out the same as well, but with maybe a few more casualties and maybe a few less casualties. But overall, the balance would eventually be achieved. I'm sort of like a long haul person when it comes to balance and the Force and everything. Like, I think these things aren't all like, I think the plot and the way that things turn out is on a much longer arc than just each individual battle.
Right.
Or face off. Yeah.
So yeah, so we're all pawns in a bigger game. In a
Yeah.
bigger
And this
movement.
includes Anakin being the chosen one.
Right. One thing when you see Rey playing around with the lightsaber there, it reminded me of speaking of Return of the Jedi, Mark Hamill wanted to use his lightsaber one-handed, and George was like, no. The lightsabers are supposed to be heavy, like a two-handed sword, and if you notice, Luke always uses two hands when he does his saber. Obviously that changed because even in the prequels, people were using them one-handed, all the time. So,
Right.
But I wonder if Mark Hamill gets envious of seeing these games. Back in my day, we had to, you had to do two hands on your lightsaber, 2 and 10, or if,
Well, because depending on when, I'm sure he had the stories. But when I first gave me a lightsaber, it had to be plugged into the wall. It had a bunch of mirrors on it that spun around.
You have to use your Jedi mind tricks to lure them to your wall.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Although now that I think about it, the first time Luke uses the lightsaber, he's doing it with one hand. So who
Right.
knows what to believe about that? So
Maybe it's
Not
like
in
one of those
battle,
things
though.
you tell actors to make sure, because when you get props as an actor, it's often not the same weight as this at all. Like
Okay.
you would hold up a phone and someone would be like, okay, now pretend like this phone is made out of lead, but 10 times that. So
right. Acting.
Right.
acting.
Well, that's all I have. All my knowledge.
No, Ray's theme.
What?
Oh, yeah.
We
Yeah,
get
Ray's
so much.
theme.
We get a lot of Ray's
yeah.
theme here.
hear some
We get
music talk.
2 of her different themes, and it morphs into Luke's theme. And there's a key change. It's a very epic. This is a minute that goes by so fast for me, and it's because you kind of get lost in the music. And I think one of the functions that music can have in a film is it kind of skews your perception of time. So when music stops, it often means a scene is happening in real time, like dialogue. And when the music gets kind of epic and sweepy, it always makes me feel like time is moving. It's inching you along faster. So here, it's montagey, and I'm sure this whole training sequence lasted more than a minute, maybe not that much longer, but it seems like maybe it was a 10-minute session. Who knows? So
She seems pretty winded by the end of it, so I'm going to guess it was longer than just the 1 minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, here we go.
So it starts with, I think we get Ray's chimes theme first. Do we?
Yeah, I think so.
But it's chimes. It's better on the
Right.
piano. My piano's not working. So we get the chimes, and then I think we also get, I can't remember the order, but we also get her it's more of her Jakku theme, I think of it as.
Yeah, it's like her sliding down the mountain.
I think that's the New World Symphony theme. And then we also get and then it changes keys. It goes up a notch. So I always think of it as the pop diva key change. It's like the moment has escalated. So do you hear the difference? It goes from to, and then it morphs into Luke. I'll tell you when. And and then it's like, okay, Luke in Exile, one of his themes is like this. Pete's look is like, okay, it's like when he's pole vaulting.
Right. I take your word for it, but again, I'm music blind a little bit with this stuff. I like it.
No? You don't recognize it? Okay.
No, it sounds familiar to me, but I
Yeah.
want to go back. Now I want to see you play that for me. Then the next time I go back and watch these, I'll be like, oh, that's that. Like I'll for
It's
some
minutes
reason
20
it
through
doesn't sink
25.
in with me. Okay.
It's like after the sea siren,
Mm-hmm.
which is when we get Luke's. That's also Luke's theme. Like that, his whole montage, like Luke's music video. That's Luke's two themes. Is he has the, and it fits so beautifully with Ray's theme. As she's stabbing, it kind of ends with it ends with Luke's theme, really. It's like it ends with this thing, and I'll just play it. It's like as she brandishes. Yeah, it gives her like Ray gets a button ending to her sword session, her laser sword session. It gets like a nice ending. It's not like a fade out.
Right.
So it's like a build. It's like a build. Or it's like Ray's theme, and then it weaves in Luke's, and ends up with do 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 with this like high octave thing. It's a very like triumphant upward ending where it's like
faster,
you stuck your landing. Yeah. And then that's when it's after she, hits the rock.
Right.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I wonder I like that thematically as like her kind of, because not only is it, purely what's on the screen that we see Ray and then we see Luke, and so it goes from Ray to Luke, but like also going for, she's taking a step towards that same kind of journey, and so that's going from her training. She's going to follow in his footsteps a little bit, and literally she's going to follow him up the steps to the temple, but she's also following in his footsteps as far as learning the ways of the Force.
And I think the music in the Octo scenes really warms me up even more to Ray and Luke's relationship, because throughout, when we hear their themes, like they are very interrelated, and it's very like I feel like there's a companionship between them, and there clearly is. And even when we have the sequence where Ray is following Luke around and he's playing hard to get and, doesn't want to be bothered, he's drinking his green milk and whatever, we get hints of Ray's theme as well. And so she crosses over into his theme, he crosses over into her theme, and then the Force crosses into both of their themes. And I think it's actually like, it makes much more sense, at least musically, than some people will speculate was or wasn't intentional. Musically, it's there for me.
Right.
Yeah. I wish I had, like Pete said, I'm kind of like, I must have heard Ray's theme 1,000 times, and right now I could not pull it up in my head. So I just don't have the ear for it.
See, once I get it, I can get it. Like now I know Ray's theme and I can get it in my head. But like while I'm watching the movie, there's very few times where the music will stand out to me and hook me. And even going back and listening, I was like, it took me a lot of times listening to The Force Awakens before I heard Ray's theme and been like, oh, okay, like, got it. Right. Yeah, somehow it doesn't, it's I tend not to notice it unless it's bad. If something's a distracting kind of like,
interesting.
if I'm like, this music is really bothering me here, but if it works, I just get kind of swept up in it, and I will rarely. I guess that's not true. There are times where it'll really escalate, and I'll get that, the music will be part of the me playing it back in my head, the part of the movie. But a lot of just kind of common themes and kind of leitmotifs will just be totally lost on me until somebody brings it up, and I have to have my attention drawn to it.
Yeah.
It's not unusual. Well, when I cajole both of you into coming on my show, then I'll have to find out what. Maybe I'll test you.
Uh-oh. Not math, I hope.
I do have it's not part of this movie, but I do have a question about some of the music from a Star Wars movie. So maybe we could take that to your show.
Okay. And then I'm also curious what music stuck out as made you pay attention in a bad way.
I can't think of any from Star Wars itself off the top of my head.
Jedi
which
Rock.
is good. Well, yeah, Jedi Rock.
But you are not alone in this. Tony Thaxton came on my show and admitted on the show that he didn't really know the difference between the 3 Leia themes. And
what about the 7 Leia
even
burrito?
Amongst musicians. What was that?
So what about the 7 Leia burrito? Does he? No.
He didn't mention that.
Yeah.
So remind everyone the music, Star Wars Music Minute.
Oh, Star Wars Music Minute.
Star Wars
Yes.
Music Minute.
And
Right.
it's on it's a podcast and it's also on YouTube. Oh.
We should put it in the link down below.
I did.
That's what they do.
I think I put Star Wars. I set up one for it. I think it's starwarsminute.com/SWMM.
Yeah,
or something
I
like
saw
that goes there. Yeah.
Nice.
Much appreciated. Also, I made a playlist I have playlists on YouTube that are the Star Wars Minute shows, and then my show's 5 minutes at a time, so it's after the week.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
Yeah, so I would try to release those on like Saturday or Friday night, Saturday, so that people can listen to your Star Wars Minute proper first, and then get the all 5 minutes after that. So I have playlists that are like the 6 episodes in a row. So
Wow,
what is this? 56. Sorry, never mind. We don't.
Right.
This is separate days. Yeah.
Right. Well, at the end of this week, you'll have the ones for 55.
It'll be, we'll do
56,
57, 58, 59, 60, and then Star Wars Music Minute, which will be 56 through 60.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. People should go and check that out. And we've been talking a lot about Star Wars, but let's hear from you. Call our hotline, 8-Day Greedo, and that will bring you to a voicemail where you can leave a ideally brief and entertaining message about some of your thoughts about Star Wars. How do you feel about the forthcoming showdown between between Luke and Kylo Ren, or Kylo Ren and Rey teaming up against the primordial guards? So call our hotline, 8-Day Greedo. Let us know what you think, and join us here tomorrow for another
Star Wars Minute.
The Star Wars
Minute. Duh.